I was standing in a driveway last spring listening to a contractor tell a homeowner that her 10-year-old roof had failed because she bought cheap shingles. She nodded. She believed him. And the whole time I was looking up at the gable end of her house where there wasn't a single vent. Not one. The shingles weren't cheap. The roof had cooked itself from the inside, and nobody in that driveway was talking about the reason. That conversation repeats itself in driveways across the country every single day. We blame the surface, the part we can see, because the part that actually killed the roof is invisible, and it's the part almost nobody understands. So let's correct the record on how a roof actually works. Start with what a roof is, not shingles. A roof is a stack of dependent layers, and roofing as a system only works when every layer does its job. At the bottom is the decking, usually half-inch plywood or oriented strand board nailed to the rafters. On top of that goes underlayment, a water-resistant membrane that's the last line of defense if water ever gets past the surface. Then flashing, the bent metal that seals every joint valley and penetration where leaks actually start. And only then, on the very top, the shingles. When people picture a roof, they picture maybe 15% of it. Now here's the claim worth testing. Conventional wisdom says shingles wear out from the sun and the weather hitting them from above. The data says the bigger threat comes from below. Asphalt shingle installation done correctly assumes one thing the homeowner never sees, that the air underneath those shingles can move. When it can't, the temperature in that attic doesn't sit at the outdoor air temperature. On a 90-degree day, an unventilated attic in direct sun routinely measures between 140 and 160 degrees. The shingles sitting on top of that trapped heat get baked from both sides at once. What does that do? Asphalt shingles are petroleum products. Heat drives off the volatile oils that keep them flexible. A shingle rated by the manufacturer for 30 years, installed over an attic that runs 20 to 40 degrees hotter than it should, can lose a third of its service life or more. The shingle didn't fail. The conditions it was installed into failed it. And the manufacturers know this precisely, which is the part that should make you tilt your head. Read the fine print on almost any shingle warranty from a major maker, and you'll find a clause requiring adequate attic ventilation. Install their product over a poorly ventilated attic and the warranty is void. They will sell you a 30-year shingle and then decline the claim at year 12 because the attic that destroyed it wasn't their responsibility. The product was never the variable. The airflow was. This is where roof ventilation basics stop being trivia and start being the whole game. A roof has to breathe, and breathing requires two openings, not one. Cool air enters low at the soffits under the eaves. Warm air exits high at or near the ridge. That's intake and exhaust. As the sun heats the attic, the hot air rises and escapes the top, which pulls fresh air in through the bottom. It's a continuous convection loop running whenever the sun is up. With no moving parts and no electricity, there's an actual specification for how much opening you need. The International Residential Code in section R806 sets the baseline. At least 1 square foot of net-free ventilating area for every 300 square feet of attic floor, provided you've got balanced intake and exhaust. Miss the balance, all exhaust and no intake, which is the single most common mistake, and the system can't pull air at all. You can have a ridge vent running the entire length of the roof and still have a dead attic, if no air can get in below to feed it. Here's the part the heat story leaves out, and it's worse. The enemy isn't only temperature, it's moisture. An average household generates somewhere between 4 and 6 gallons of water vapor a day, from showers, cooking, laundry, and breathing. That vapor rises. In a roof that can't breathe, it reaches the cold underside of the decking in winter and condenses into liquid water right on top of the plywood. The homeowner thinks the roof is leaking. The roof is sweating. That trapped moisture rots decking, soaks insulation until it stops insulating and grows mold in a space nobody ever opens the door to look at. So step back from the layers and the coats for a second and look at your own house. If your upstairs is brutally hot in summer while the downstairs is fine, if you've had ice dams pile up along the eaves in winter, if your energy bills climb every year for no obvious reason, or if a contractor ever quoted you a new roof and never once walked around to count your vents, you are looking at the symptoms of an attic that can't breathe. None of those problems live in the shingles. Every one of them lives in the airflow, and every one of them is invisible from the driveway, which is exactly why they keep getting blamed on the wrong thing. Which brings up the most expensive part of this whole arrangement. When ventilation gets diagnosed as a shingle problem, the fix that gets sold is a new surface. Tear off the old shingles, nail down new ones, collect the check. But if the decking underneath is moisture damaged and the attic still can't breathe, that brand new roof is being installed into the exact conditions that destroyed the last one. The clock resets and the countdown starts over. There's an entire replacement cycle that exists, not because roofs naturally wear out on schedule, but because the actual problem was never the part anyone was selling. The mechanics here aren't complicated. Air in at the bottom, air out at the top. Moisture carried out before it can condense. Heat carried off before it can bake. A roof is a system that moves air as deliberately as it sheds water, and the shingles, the only part most people ever think about, are just the lid on top of it. I think about that homeowner in the driveway sometimes. She paid for new shingles that spring, good ones this time. Same bare gable end, same dead attic, same trapped heat building up under a brand new surface. Somewhere around year 12, a contractor is going to stand in that same driveway, look up at that same roof, and tell her she bought cheap shingles. Here's the deal. If you look up right now and there's a roof protecting you, hit that subscribe button. Every week I cover roofing products, the history behind how roofs are built, and how to handle storm damage the right way. And before you go, stick around and watch a few more. There's plenty more up here worth your time.